Hey everybody, this is Raul with Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the great honor and pleasure of having an in-depth conversation with one of our very own major staff writer, contributor, supporter of Bass Musician Magazine. You've seen him. He's like white rice, as we say in Latin America, arroz blanco. He's everywhere. Kilian Duarte. Ta-da!
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing
Yeah,
great,
Lauren.
doing great. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule, Killian. We know that you're, doing all kinds of good stuff. Today, we
Oh,
want
of
to
course.
take the opportunity to get people the chance to know you better. So, why don't we start out talking about your bass journey? How did you get started in bass?
So I was 12 years old, and I started to get into that middle school phase where music starts becoming a very important part of your life. That emotional release that we all kind of seek, especially at that age when that's really important. And I had musicians in my family. My older cousin was a drummer, and my uncle Carlos was a classical composer and international touring pianist in South America, who had, worked and traveled all over the world. So the arts kind of had run in my family. But at 12 years old, it was my aunt, who I lived with at the time. Um, I lived with my aunt and my mom. She saw that I had more of an interest in music, more and more and more. And I begged her for an early Christmas present to get me one of those little Ibanez bass kits, the sound gear ones.
Mm-hmm.
And, I got that and a subscription to Bass Player magazine back when that was like a big thing. And I just kind of fell in love with the instrument. I loved how it made me feel. I liked how it felt in my hands. And I knew it was a right fit because even though like my left hand, I could barely hold down notes, my right hand automatically was able to play rhythms. Like my right hand, like doing like bum, ba bum, bum, ba bum, or just straight eights. At least my right hand could do simplistic things. Like there was a direct connection between my hands and the strings. And there wasn't this like huge, like, obstacle to do that. So it felt right for me. And so that's really how it got started. My auntie helped me out when I was a wee lad, and I haven't looked back since.
Got you. So, from 12, how did you decide to pursue? You start taking classes?
Yeah, so I took private lessons with a man down in South Florida where I grew up. His name was Wayne Redeker. He still teaches down in South Florida. He's a really great guy. He was actually a guitar player, not a bass player. So what it was is that every day we'd go over concepts. I would independently kind of study technique. He gave me like good posture for left hand, but my right hand was all self-developed.
Mm-hmm.
And we would just work on music together. And so I kind of grew up, I guess it was decided by fate, but growing up always playing with guitar players and knowing how guitar players work and supporting them and being the foundation work for that. And really it was that I fell in love with it more through high school. Music got me through all the times in high school and like all the things, growing up that a lot of people face and through a lot of bad times and good times. And really what it was is that I didn't see myself really wanting to do anything else. I mean, I was a good student. I was very big into history and English and those, subject matters. I wasn't a bad student by any means. But my parents thought, well, we'll send him to Berkeley. It's going to college. And, we know that he applies himself really heavily to this. I'd been going to the summer programs there when I was a kid, and I was always just practicing and learning and always being involved in every facet. I was always, and still am, very much obsessed with the community and like anything to do with gear or playing. I just enjoy the instrument. So really, I felt that was what it was. It wasn't that like I just wanted to play a specific style of bass. I just liked bass as a whole in my life, and it felt like a right fit. And even though it's a hard road, I mean, I'm happy. So that's kind of what matters. And so that's what led me to that.
Got you. And let's go back a tick because kind of a reoccurring topic that comes up is Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of opportunities to talk to musicians that got their start in Berkeley. Not only the musical education itself, but the networking opportunity and people that they meet and people that they work with. Tell us a little bit about that experience for you.
I'm really glad I went to college. One, because I wasn't necessarily in the mind frame right then to go straight into the workforce, and I needed to develop a lot of things in terms of like ensemble playing. I was good. I had been in bands growing up in high school, but unfortunately, the early 2000s for a lot of, people, especially kids my generation, we didn't have the fortune of having like what Billy Sheehan and those guys had, that generation had, where like they were all ages clubs where they would hire bands to do all this stuff. So, Billy Sheehan, and, I just put him as an example because he used to say that in high school he used to like gig 6 times a week. I mean, even if I wanted to, that wasn't an option to do that because there weren't clubs that would allow 16-year-olds to play to, that would allow that type of stuff. So it was nice to be in an environment where I could play with a bunch of people and I could, make mistakes and network and also be around a lot of like-minded kids, a lot of people that know, because I think even though everyone's brave that pursues music, it was, sometimes when you don't go to an institution, you're kind of like the only person going on this wild, crazy ride. But at a place like Berkeley, you're among like-minded fools that are, attempting this very crazy thing. So you get a lot of camaraderie with people. Definitely, I would say with Berkeley, a lot of the networking is really what it is. What you're paying for at the school. I mean, I was lucky. I got a very substantial scholarship. So financially, I can't say it's a burden on my life because like compared to other people, like I did get a lot of financial aid due to the fact that like I went in there guns blazing. But yeah, it's your coworkers, it's your kids in your class that are really going to make your career. It's the people that recommend you. Like case in point, well, with me, with Felix Martin, I knew Felix from school, and now he's, we're still really good friends. I'm spending more time with Scale the Summit and with other projects, but like he's on tour with Tony McAlpine. I could have done that tour if I wanted to. And a lot of people that I went to school with are either really good friends that I play with in the Los Angeles area, or they recommend me for tours, or they recommend me for things. And it's a really small knit group. Like, like Ivan Chopik, who owns Guitar Messenger and plays in Painted in Exile, he is one of the big movers and shakers for a lot of people in our scene. And I've known him since he was 18 years old, He actually got, speaking of people in the scene that I work with, he got Matt Garska, the drummer for Animals as Leaders, he got him that gig. And it's just because they were dorm buddies and he had met Tosin while he was doing that. And, he goes like, hey, check out Matt. And it's a really small circle, especially for people where, I look at my graduating class and there's a lot of bass players now that I'm like, like Mono Neon, I used to jam with him in my dorm room. I'd known Duani since he was 18. Nathan Navarro, we were technically in the same band for a while. He used to sub in with Felix. So a lot of these younger players, you'd be amazed. Like, Josh Young, I've known Josh since he was 18 too. We just see each other in the dorms, and then it's always kind of crazy that we're all like, hey, dude, what's going on? You're doing your thing too. So it's very nice in that regard. It's a school, it's a university, it's a privately owned company. So it's got to have all the meat hooks of any private college when it comes to finances. But I felt that the benefit from it has increased throughout the years as, with age, you get more established in your careers and people are no longer on entry-level positions. They're maybe in higher positions, or their careers are in situations where the recommendation values more. Kind of the benefits of age, one of the benefits of age. So I feel that now with a lot of my friends getting higher in the music industry or working in companies and products, stuff like that, I feel like that's the benefit. And I also always recommend my friends from there, especially the ones that I have fond memories of for gigs. So I would say that's the biggest benefit for that was the networking, 100% the networking. There's some great classes I'll never forget. I studied with Bruce Gertz. I studied with Matthew Garrison, which was wonderful. Big influence on not even how I play, just how like I approach playing bass, meaning he was a very fearless and creative guy. And he's also a really confident person and really ambitious. And it kind of motivated me to not be lazy. And Matthew Garrison is the complete opposite of lazy and really, a really smart dude. So it was great to be around someone like that, because when you're surrounded by people like that, it kind of goes like, well, I can't slack off. Like I got to bring it every day, because if Matt Garrison's playing, with Herbie Hancock, like I can't be the kid being like sucking every week. So that's kind of a cool thing.
There you go. Well, and it's interesting because a lot of the involvement with other musicians is kind of also a chance to demonstrate a work ethic and an attitude. And it's been said by many when I ask, kind of what's the key here. It's giving people a chance to know that you're a good person to work with, that you're not a flake, that you're hardworking, that you're not, moody and a lunatic. And I can think back to people that I played with when I was growing up, and it'd be kind of like, yeah, they've got a real attitude. I don't know if I would want to go on tour with them or spend more than a day. I maybe do a gig, but not anything prolonged. More because of the personalities, because you spend so much time together. It's like family, that you really have to kind of get along. And even to this day, when we were talking with Ricky Phillips with Styx, they're still touring 200 days out of the year. And so they spent a lot of time together, and he didn't paint it color roses. It's challenging, but you get along as family, and as long as they know that you can exist that way, it's a big plus. And then that leads to recommendations with their groups, because they'll say, hey, if you need a bassist, talk to Kilian, because he's easy to work with. He's not losing.
And I don't come here from a high horse. I mean, when I was younger, everyone learns the hard way. You lose a gig because you didn't realize that you were supposed to be there earlier, or all this stuff. But the thing is, more the overarching theme is that people want to hire their friends, and that you learn. So that's the thing, is I go, like, luckily I'm getting close to 29. I mean, I'm going to be close to 30 now. And so, you learn through experience, and, you correct your mistakes. But yeah, like, that's the overarching thing. People like to be with their friends. And two, it's like, it's not the 80s anymore with labels where, I read some of these rock documentaries, and these guys were like so out of control. And I go, like, well, now every band, for the most part, unless you're with Bruno Mars, and if you get the Bruno Mars gig, by all means, mazel, have fun. Good for you. But most of these bands are now self-sustaining small businesses, meaning that the band leader is not just the band leader and the songwriter like it used to be. They're the merch designer, they're the web host, they're the web designer, they are partial booking agents, they're the manager, they're doing all this stuff, and they're fronting all the capital themselves, unless they have like a GoFundMe and stuff like that. But like, especially like Scale to Summit, Chris is the CEO and owner and everything of Scale to Summit. So, you can't be the, mess up, I guess, that you could be back in the day when you're like, they were out of control. Because if you're like that, they physically don't have the money to put up with you being that way anymore.
Exactly.
So it's kind of crazy. And like, especially in the scene I'm in, which is like, I guess, progressive rock, there's a lot of good players. So finding someone that can play the music, while it's still refined, it's really more about the hang, and not being crazy.
Gotcha. And diversification, because I know beyond playing music, you're involved with, you do composing. I've been seeing you doing some guitar work. You're teaching. You're involved with all the social media stuff. It's not enough just to be, kind of pegged in doing your one thing anymore, is it?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the big game changer. And I think it's the internet, because the internet has kind of raised all ships in a way. And yeah, you need to be really going up ham to really set yourself apart. Like, I don't even consider myself that great of a guitar player, but I've had to pick it up more to get more students. But I also like enjoying bringing the unique approach that I play to bass to guitar too, because it's fun, because you develop all these chops over the years. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like this cheat code where you can do all these fun things. But yeah, no, it's more like a perfect example. Like, I had to transcribe the last Scale to Summit record, with tabs and everything. Now, if you'd asked me, like, I didn't go to school as a transcriptionist. I know I can read music fine, but especially when I'm doing like slap stuff and all that crazy stuff, I was like, I don't know. Like, I never thought I'd be transcribing that. But it's a money source. It's a passive income source for me that I can make money that way. So because technology has allowed that stuff to happen, you start seeing people having to hit the pavement really hard. Like, all my friends in my other band, Laddermouth, Derek's a professional photographer. Tony is a professional videographer. And that's just like the park course. Everyone has basic sound engineering knowledge. You know what I mean? Like, now it's like, you have to do a ton of stuff on top of also being like a really good player and trying to do a lot of original stuff. So it's very taxing, but it is kind of nice because at least I can say that the group of friends I hold myself with always motivate me to be better, and I feel guilty if I'm being lazy and not trying to push forward with people, especially a lot of my band leaders who are these self-sustaining CEOs, especially on the bigger gigs. It's, it's inspiring to be around them because they're workaholics and they're always like seeing like, oh, like I also know web design and all this stuff. So like, I'm always like, I feel lazy sometimes, but I know I'm not, but it's more that, like the world of just being a bass guitarist. I mean, unless somehow you're already kind of really established in a session scene is, no longer just the case. You also have to do a bunch of stuff, products work, session work, even times like theater work. I do theater work. I play in a gypsy jazz band. I'm in these prog acts. I did a wedding the other day, and that's the thing. I'm lucky because I like playing bass, period. And anything involving bass gives me joy. So I don't view playing a wedding as a burden. Like some people that would be like super not happy for them. They wanted to be a rock star, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has different goals. Mm-hmm. And they think playing top 40 tunes to a bunch of people at a wedding would be like the worst thing in the world. For me, I have a lot of fun. But that's the thing too. You have to kind of see what makes you happy about playing professionally. Like I know some people, they hate teaching. I like teaching. Mm-hmm. So I always am trying to look for more students. For some people, teaching's a completely separate art. You could be the best musician in the world, and the skill to show someone else isn't necessarily in your brain. And that doesn't make you bad. It just is more like it's a completely separate skill. Like some people are really good at luthiery or setup or doing their own stuff. Like I know a lot of musicians that are like amazing at instruments and setting all that stuff up and building stuff. Different skill. Has nothing to do with necessarily being a good player. But yeah, that's one of those things. So, yeah, I would say roundabout answer to that.
Well, it's an interesting insight because also like being able to teach, you're absolutely right. It is something that you have to obviously enjoy and you have to be patient with because students will come to you with different levels of motivation. And if they're not doing the work, I'm sure there's some that are a joy to work with, and there's others that you're kind of going like, dude, you're obviously not working on this. Yeah. you needed a couple more weeks. I remember when our son was, he's a horn player, and a lot of his peers in his band would have difficulty coming up with solos and stuff. And he'd go, why is this so hard for you guys? And a big part of it just had to do with the fact that they didn't practice. So he was putting in an hour a day at least, and they would only play what they had to play at school, and that barely. And then they're going, well, gee, I wonder how come I'm not moving ahead or doing anything. It's like, because you're not doing the work to go with this. So I'm sure that his teacher, when he had to listen to people that weren't putting in their part, would be like, oh, here we go again, and hearing, at least with the bass, I don't think you're going to hear as many clinker notes as you'll hear with the woodwind. Honking and squeaking on those reeds, but totally. Well, and looking ahead, Kilian, it's always, we're on a timeline where you are here now, and you look back, you can see some stuff. Where do you see yourself in the future? What things would you like to be doing in the future?
Continuing on this trajectory for sure, playing with more and more musicians on a higher level. Like, I went on my first bus tour, full production this year. And after years of being in vans and knowing the drudgery of, really low budget touring, and I'd had high end gigs, meaning like people would hire me for like a high end wedding or a festival or something like that. But I'd never done a high end tour, like where I was for a long time away from home playing on something, but on a higher professional level with like, TM's crew, the whole 9 yards. So, I mean, for, my mental health and financially, it's been awesome to be able to do that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then just keep it going, being able to play more and more. My goal for me personally is like a bass player is to, keep my identity, but I do really want to continue doing side work for more and more people. I've been lucky with the people that have hired me, whether it's Felix, Scale the Summit, and soon to be more people, have unique music. So it's fun to play bass for them. That's kind of the fun thing about this prog circle that I'm in, is that it's not boring music at all. And there's a lot of room for the bass to do a lot of fun stuff. And every artist is different. So it's not like, I'm in a band and then the next band, like, oh, it's a cookie cutter of the other thing. They're completely different styles, which makes me, one, a better player, and two, it's just really enjoyable to be on stage. Like a lot of people, Felix Martin, he has a 14-string guitar, and how he approaches and how I interact with him and a drummer and the rhythm section work, how I do that. Scale the Summit is 7-string guitar. So how I intertwine between that, since the different drummers that I'm working with and all this stuff, I'm going on tour in November with a guitar player named Angel Vivaldi as well, doing a double headliner with Scale. And Angel's very fortissimo rock, straight up metal with amazing lead guitarist blazing. So it'll be the first time I'm playing pick style for a whole tour.
Oh, wow.
So I've never played pick style metal bass for a whole tour. I've done it before for gigs, sessions, whatever, but never for a whole set, hour and a half set every night. So that's going to be fun. And his music is nothing like Scale of Summits, even though it's in the same genre. They sound very different. So that's kind of the fun thing for me, is that every night I'm going to be able to, enjoy almost every single style of bass playing within that. And so hopefully that continues to grow. I get more students and I can continue to get more. I've been trying to get more into the wedding circuit here where I live in the New England area. Mm-hmm. And, hopefully that pays off. So just like I can have more, reliable streams of income and then just continue to grow and just to get my name out there. It's just been kind of nice to, especially with Scale of Summit, it's such a well-established band. I go into Boston now, some people recognize me, and it's, not that I need that for my ego, but it's nice to know that, like, especially when you're in a band, you put all this work into it. And especially now in the age of online, they're numbers, you throw all this material out into the world. It's numbers and figures and stats. And you go to shows and you see people and you meet them, but sometimes you don't know if it's like, they know that it's you, or like if your work is meaning something, Mm-hmm. And then when you play, a show in your hometown and, you see all the people there, it validates all the hours you put into, a skill and all that stuff. So it's just, I never expected to have a break, like some boom, but just that I'm building a ladder, or a staircase is probably better.
Sure.
And that the staircase keeps getting higher, and that there's, that just keeps happening. So yeah, the staircase keeps going up. That's pretty much my goal.
Gotcha. And we always remiss if we don't mention and talk a little bit about what gives you your voice as a musician, mm-hmm. and that's your gear. Tell us a little bit about what you're playing with.
Yeah, I'm actually right now in probably one of the happiest stages of my life with my endorsees and the people I work with. So I recently signed 2 weeks ago with Kiesel Instruments. So, I grew up, seeing Carvin stuff, but when Jeff Kiesel, the son, the most recent iteration of the leadership there, took over and started making the basses under the Kiesel brand with the Kiesel logo, the quality just shot up immensely. And when I joined Scale Summit, Chris Letchford, my lead guitar player, has a signature model with them. So I was able to really go to the factory and see the stuff. And, when things had fallen apart with the recent endorsee, they were there to pick up, and they really valued what I did. They even liked my guitar playing, which is kind of crazy. And so I'm going to be playing. They're giving me 4 instruments, which I'm getting next month. One of them is going to be, it's funny, but I don't care, Sparkle Pink Vader 6 with a PJ humbucker configuration. So it's a swamp ash body with a multi-layered neck, bird's eye maple fingerboard, and an active preamp. The second one's going to be another Vader, but it's going to be swamp ash as well, but with a trans red with a gray tint finish. Bird's eye maple as well, but with those nice 70s block inlays I like, with like a, with the jazz bass, 6-string as well, mm-hmm. Active as well with the regular soap bar humbuckers. Then my pride and joy is going to be this Vanquish multi-scale, which is a 5-string, 36 to 34 inches, with this beautiful yellow and black trans finish that's going to go through everything, with a 7-piece mahogany, walnut, purple heart, and maple neck. So it's going to be like this beautiful, like, super reinforced neck on that one with a humbucker and a single coil on that one, active electronics, ebony fingerboard, glow in the dark dots. I know I like extra. And then finally, a JB5, which is their jazz bass model in this beautiful trans green, with, stacked humbuckers. So it's silent, even though it still retains the quality of a single coil, active electronics, bird's eye maple again for the fingerboard, because I love that. And then that's my main jazz bass. So that's going to be what I'm bringing bass wise. I can't wait to get those instruments. I'm going to send you guys pictures of the builds as they're going along, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice.
For amps, I upgraded to probably one of my favorite companies of the past 4 years, which is Dark Glass Electronics. I've been using exclusively their Microtubes 900D class head, and that's been a godsend because not only is the overdrive circuit on it pretty much studio ready, just out of the box. Like, you literally just press the overdrive. There's like zero tweaking necessary because of the vintage Microtubes technology, especially the B7K overdrive, which is inside the amp. And they also have the vintage Microtubes, so you have two overdrives in the head, but it's also having 900D class watts in something that literally fits into a shoebox. I fly with that thing, no problem. It goes through carry-on, and it's amazing. And because of so much overhead, like, I never have to push it. I keep the gain at 2, and I never blow anything out, because since it's not 900 tube, it's D class. It's not so overpowering that you're going to blow out your speakers. So I just have headroom for days, and I never have to worry about volume. But the clean channel's awesome. I used it for a wedding gig the other day with a P bass. Just clean tone with the P bass. Just use the EQ section, and you would not know that company makes an amp that's known for like progressive metal and overdrive. So it's so versatile, and it weighs 2 pounds. And for people that are interested, it's only $1,000 for a 900 watt amp. That's incredibly good. And it's just such a reliable piece of equipment. I mean, I just went on my 4th tour in a year with it, and the thing's not even a hum from the thing. So it's very roadworthy.
Nice.
I joined recently GHS Strings. My artist rep there, his name is Jonathan Moody. I really, really am happy I joined them, because not only do the strings really perform, and they're very pleasant to, like, to hear and feel on stage, but the artist relations is wonderful. They even support my smallest band, Laddermouth. So it's been just really nice to be around with them. And, they get me stuff like prototype strings and stuff like that. And they actually genuinely want my input on the product. And, I never have to chase them down. I'm not waiting for an email. They're really responsive. And then finally, Tsunami Cables, which has been kind of awesome. They were like, a startup company 2-3 years ago at NAMM. And they make these like really, really reliable, really bright cables that for me has been awesome, because I'm such an absent-minded person that I've lost more Planet Waves cables than I could even imagine. Like at Guitar Center, when I was at Berkeley, they probably knew me on a first name basis, because like every couple months I'd be like, "Oh, you need a new cable, dude?" Because I'd leave it in a practice room. I would, leave it wherever. And because I have this like beautiful like orange, like neon green and neon pink cables and neon blue, these colors, I never forget them. They look great on stage, especially if there's some kind of blacklight situation. But the wrappings are awesome, because they wrap all the way to the head of the cable. So I never have that problem where, like, with a regular cable, like the little metal sheath that's next to the input jack always comes loose. All this stuff that I don't have to worry about, and it doesn't really tangle that much. So it's been really nice to work with them. Keith Stix is the CEO of that company and the owner and the main creator of the cables. It's been wonderful. And then finally, just as a last minute thing, I work with Rock Ready gig bags and straps. And it's been nice because, the more my career progresses, the longer my sets get. So, I can't do the like little nylon things, because like they'll dent, even though like the basses I play aren't very heavy. It's just more like time, and I can't do the little nylon crappy ones. And this is like a huge pad of like, foam that's like at least this thick. So it distributes the weight completely over my left shoulder. So they've been really good. So that's my gear in a nutshell.
There you go. Excellent. Well, it sounds like there's just so much great stuff going on. I know I'd mentioned that you have done composing. Is that something that you continue to work on? Do you have any thoughts that you'd like to have some music of your own out there someday?
Possibly for late 2018 if I have the time. Um, I've been trying mostly to concentrate on this like session work stuff I've been doing with the progressive rock scene and touring more.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been really having a lot of fun being a live bass player, because that's my favorite way to perform music of any kind is to actually be on a stage. And especially with like, the type of music we play that it's nice and loud and big and, I'm finally getting paid for my labor and all these amazing things. I think most likely I'm going to be staying more as a live performer for them. But I'm not ruling anything out. A lot of people have requested that I do some stuff. So we got to see. I mean, I'm not ruling it out because, if you'd asked me in January where I'd be where I am today in September, I would have said not very likely, but it happened. So, I'm down for anything. So possibly. So
Very cool. Very cool. And it's always good if you had some advice. Let's say you could run into kind of a Back to the Future kind of thing. If you could run into a 12-year-old Kilian who hasn't picked up a bass yet, what advice would you give a young aspiring bassist like yourself from where you are seeing it now?
To adapt even more than I have to technology, because when I was 12, the world of MTV and, record labels was still very much a thing. So even though I adapted to it, and there were certain things that you couldn't, anticipate, just getting even more into the technology side of it, probably I'd like to be more proficient of a sound engineer. I would have liked to have gotten more into luthiery, which I'm slowly teaching myself now, even though, I don't own a house with a garage. But, you find friends. I have a really good friend of mine. His name is Dave Cohen. He owns Equilibrium Guitars. So every time I'm over there, I pick his brain to become more of an adult when it comes to my instruments.
Mm-hmm.
But keep your head high, network even more than you did, and don't give up. But I wouldn't tell them like all the details because music is a very long and arduous journey, and you need hope to keep you going. And sometimes you'll be amazed because you find yourself in some really beautiful positions, but sometimes you got to wait. And luckily, that's the one thing my parents taught me that was very good is that I was always been a patient person. Keep on being patient, network more. And in general to young bass players is just, I'm not trying to be long-winded, but it's very important, is that what advice I can give to you is going to be a partial truth to your own truth. Meaning that the world that Leland Sklar grew up in, he's going to give you some great advice in terms of professionalism, how to play. But how to become Leland Sklar or how to get to that level is a constantly evolving chain of events that will never apply to the same people, because once you've reached a certain level of secureness, Victor Wooten isn't all of a sudden going to become irrelevant because he doesn't post on Instagram. He's established his career. He's made his bed, and now he can rest on his laurels because he's built his empire to be Victor Wooten. Mm-hmm. And that's fantastic. But if you took the identical route Victor Wooten did now, that doesn't mean the outcome would be the same. So for kids now that have grown up, I know a bunch of these kids that are going to Berkeley now, for a while, just because the bass community is the way it is. Some of them are so unbelievably good, and some of them are so advanced with the sound engineering thing. So he goes like, look, I can give you some advice what helped me, but you're also going to be playing with the people that are going to be the big acts when people your age are going to be my age, mm-hmm. or going to be your parents' age. So what networking or what people want to see there is going to evolve individual to you. So best advice I could give to a young player is to keep adapting. There's this like kind of myth that we all live with. It's just like, it's hard work. It's hard work. It's hard work. It's like, well, yeah, you have to work hard. You're never going to get anywhere just sitting on your ass. That's never going to happen. But it's about smart and strategic work. And you don't want to be that person that's just digging to an endless coal mine to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know what people follow, trends. Be involved in the bass community too, because, people, they like that. But also know your strengths and to keep on adapting. That's the people who win, is the people who adapt. That's really the kind of the rule of all of life, is just keep on being able to pivot, and especially when you're younger, say yes to gigs more than no, because you'll never know who you're playing with that might one day be like, I like that kid, and get them on a gig. I've known people that have gotten A-list level gigs because they like played at a bar with some kid, and that kid ended up being, I don't know, an MD for Britney Spears or something like that. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, dude, I got a guy back in Boston. You never know.
Yeah.
So keep your mind open, and keep your mind open. That's patience.
Excellent advice. You're wise beyond your years, my friend. So
Well, thank you.
If people want to find out what you're doing, and kind of as they've had a chance to get to know you and see where things are going, is the best place KilianDuarte.com?
Really, I've been trying. I got to start updating my personal Facebook and my personal social media. My Instagram is the one that I like to update the most, and where I kind of am the most interactive, because I feel like the platform is the least noisy. And then, Scale the Summit, our Facebook page is always popping. And like any of the bands that I'm involved with, Ladder Math, Felix, and even now, like I'm going to be doing a tour with Angel. So you might see me on those social media platforms with my band and know what I'm doing. But for me personally, I would say my Instagram is where like I'm the most active in posting regularly, and my personal Facebook if you happen to be friends with me. But I got to get better at updating my like performer Facebook. But yeah.
There you go. Well, again, Kilian, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and sharing, your insight and your journey with us. We're greatly appreciative of that. And of course, we wish you the most continued success, and we're going to stay in touch and watch you shine like the star you are, my brother. So,
Well, thank you, my friend.
folks, you've seen it here. Kilian Duarte coming to you live on Bass Musician Magazine.